Do you have visions of sugar plums and building your own consulting or coaching business dancing around in that pretty little head of yours? Have you heard the horror stories, though, about the people who have tried to build successful consulting, coaching, service businesses and have completely burnt out trying to do it? Well, if you've heard the horror stories and you're afraid that the same thing could happen to you, today is the episode for you.
Write that down!
Because I'm going to walk you through the fact that there are 5 key things, just 5, that you need to implement in order to build a successful consulting and coaching practice and not die trying. You want to know what they are? Let's get to work. All right, so first things first, you have to find your why. And you guys have heard me say this before. Your why is used during your entrepreneurial journey for a number of different reasons. And forever I have taught you that the very first step in starting a business and growing a business is to get your mind right. I have to actually go through the process of getting my mind right on an annual basis. And I go through an entire retreat and I build kind of a growth strategy for the following year, every single year. And that's a big part of that mindset piece. And I revisit my why every single year. And the big reason is because your why equals your passion. And that passion is going to be the driving force behind getting through the tough times, getting through the ups and downs. No one has ever said that being an entrepreneur and having an entrepreneurial journey and being completely responsible for your own success and also being completely responsible for all of your own challenges and kind of dealing with them on your own isn't in itself a challenge. And that means that you have to have a mindset that allows you to overcome those things. And the best way for me to do that is that I'm able to go back and just remember what my driving passion is, why I'm doing what I'm doing, and why I started my business in the first place, keeping my eye on the prize. It's kind of like that big picture. And that is what this first step for all of you is about as well. So I want you to make sure that you're thinking about what truly lights you up. What gets your juices flowing? What gets you going? What brings you joy? What does all of those things for you? And once you've identified that, I need you to kind of bring it all in to your passion and make sure that the why behind this business, the why behind what you're building, does drive passion for you, brings and ignites that passion, that flow. You've heard it about it when you're in a relationship with somebody. If the passion dies, oftentimes the relationship dies, and it is no different for your business and for your entrepreneurial journey. So you have to ask yourself, how can I use this passion to really truly impact others and to serve a greater good? Most of us are driven not just from the success and the freedom and the idea of financial wealth and things like that, but also from the idea that we are going to be helping others, that we are going to be serving a greater purpose, that we are going to be fulfilling a cause. And that's huge. And you've got to tie that why behind it, because that why will again be that driving passion, and that passion and that impact that's driven from that passion will ultimately be what gets you going and what keeps you going. So you have to really find like the intersection of where your passion meets a problem and then what your passion can do to solve that problem for a certain population. So you are going to be on the right track if you're able to maintain that why and being able to kind of tap into it. But I can tell you right now that first real key to truly building that successful business is staying in touch with your why, understanding it, revisiting it regularly. Some people only do it in the very beginning, they never look at it again, and then ultimately using it to be that big picture and that light at the end of whatever tunnels you may go through. Now, number 2 is really surrounding that 4S freedom framework that I've talked to you guys about so many times and so often for me, and that is building a solid foundation and a structure. In the last couple of months, I've done so many videos here on CPTV around that structure. And when I'm talking about building your solid foundation, I mean building the infrastructure of your organization. You've got to make sure that all of those things are tied, all of those I's are dotted, and all of those T's are crossed. And if you've got any loose ends, then go ahead and take care of them, because that strong business foundation is really what can help you catapult into that growth and building a successful consulting practice. That foundation includes the basics, like having your business registered and trademarked if you need to, making sure that you've got a strong professional presence, a good address, a good phone number, a good email, access to your email, a good internal flow, great operations, your financial structure set up, all of the basic foundational things that I talk to you guys about over and over and over again. And that if you are a student in my Get Your Business in Order online course, that's what it teaches you, how to create that basic infrastructure and that basic foundation. So that is absolutely huge. Structure is basic in having a successful consulting business, trust me. And if you've got any loose ends, you've got to get those tied up before you'll really be able to build and see it grow. So structure, my love, is that base, it's that foundation that keeps everything above it from crumbling down on your beautiful consulting head. Now, number 3 is really my favorite. Well, one of my favorites. I've got 2 favorites in this whole thing for you, but number 3 is absolutely critical, and it's where I see most people get the most stuck. And I do a lot of work with my VIPs and my VIP days on number 3, and that is creating the strategies that will guide your money-making moves. Yes, your strategies. Now, there is a pretty interesting and I would say CP'd or CP'dified. Anyway, I created it. It's kind of like a formula.
What you talking about? What you talking about? What you talking about? What you talking about?
And the formula is something that I teach, and I want to kind of share it with you right now. And that is strategy equals plan equals clarity. And that is so important, because one of the biggest things that I hear from you, and I know for me, one of the biggest things that I experienced in the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey, and I still experience from time to time today, is lack of clarity. Lack of clarity really does make it very difficult for you to focus, and lack of focus creates procrastination and the inability to get things done. And so clarity is critical to your success and building a successful consulting firm, and really being able to focus on what makes you money, which is your brain, right? That intellectual property and that expertise. And you've got to continually build that as well. So when I say strategy equals plan equals clarity, that's exactly what it is. You've got to create the strategies that will give you the game plan. And that's all that strategies are. Strategies are on paper or in a computer or actually documented, the game plan, the route, the map that you are going to take in order to move forward into that next step. And one of the biggest problems that people don't see when they don't have a strategy is that they're going to be all over the place and lack that clarity of where they're going if they don't have the game plan. I know you're probably thinking, CP, I've been with you on CPTV for a long time, and I know that you are just inherently a planner.
Damn!
And I am. I'm inherently a planner. I got a plan for my plans for my plans. But if you aren't a planner, don't use that as an excuse to eliminate that clarity for yourself. If you are walking around in a fog right now about your business and you feel like you are all over the place, 90% of the time, that means that you haven't taken the time to sit down and actually map out the core strategies that you need in your business to be successful. And there are some big ones, okay? And the big ones I would say are your overall product and service strategy. That's a huge one. That you've got to map it out. That includes what your products are going to be, what your pricing is going to be, how you're going to deliver those products and services, and which audience they're going to meet the need of. It's your entire product and service plan. What are you offering? What do your packages look like? What are your services? What pricing ideas do you have? And which audience those things are going to meet? That's your pricing and product strategy. It's also kind of your overall business strategy. So I call those the same thing. Sometimes people get caught up in this whole idea, and I've said this before, of business planning. And while I do think that business planning is important in certain aspects of your entrepreneurial journey, depending upon what your goals are, I focus more on the overall business strategy, meaning this is what my business model is going to look like. This is the lifestyle that I want to live in this model. This is what I'm going to be selling. This is who I'm going to be selling it to. And these are my ideas around how I'm going to price this product or service. So that's one of the big strategies that you've got to sit down and map out and create. The other one is your annual growth strategy. And I do a lot of work on this in the fourth quarter of every year. So be on the lookout this year for that kind of content. We really get into growth planning to start coming out towards, October, November, December, in that area. And then I do a huge growth planning boot camp at the end of every year that gets everyone pumped and ready to go for the following year. But during that time frame, I am focusing with you on how to create what your growth strategy is going to be for the following year. That means that you are mapping out that game plan and you are figuring out those action steps that you need to put in place in order to get to that next level in the next year. That allows you to look at all of your weaknesses, look at all of your strengths, figure out what opportunities and threats are out there, create your SWOT, map out the objectives that you want to accomplish, your primary 2 or 3 objectives, and then actually map out the action plan step by step, actions, strategies, deadline dates around what you've got to do in order to get that action plan done. I spend at least a week every year in September, usually around September, planning out what that's going to look like, and I started teaching that as well. So that's a huge, big one of the strategies. And then the last strategy that I really want you to make sure you've got mapped out in order to build this consulting and coaching business for yourself is your marketing strategy. Yes, you knew I was going to say that, right? Did you?
That's the most outstanding answer I've ever heard.
I know you did. I know you did, because a marketing strategy is the other big one, right? A lot of times people say, I gotta have a plan for this, I gotta have a plan for that, I gotta have a plan for this. And I'm telling you, the 3 big ones that I just talked to you about are your primary plans. And of all 3 of those, your growth strategy and your marketing strategy are going to be the biggies. And really, your marketing strategy is something that you constantly have to be involved with and looking at and reevaluating and updating, because it's going to be the driver of your revenue and your sales, which ultimately impacts how much money you are bringing in, how much money you are able to make, and whether or not you get to a point in your consulting business where you feel like you need to go work for somebody else. And I hear it all the time. Unfortunately, great minds, amazing talents, consultants, people who have gotten into the business, oftentimes going back into a real world 9-to-5 because they haven't spent any time creating a marketing strategy and implementing it, or they're missing all 3 of the strategies that we're talking about right now, and definitely don't look at an overall marketing strategy. And your marketing strategy is going to include what your marketing process is going to be. It's a cookie cutter step-by-step process that you can really plop any product or service into and spit sales out of the other end. And then it's also going to contain all of your calendars, your content calendar, because content is king for marketing, especially when you are a coach, a consultant, a service provider, a speaker. Content is going to be critical. So it's going to include your content marketing strategy. It's going to include your content marketing calendar, your social media calendar, even your promotions and product release calendars. All of those things are going to be included in that overall marketing strategy. And those are the big 3 strategies that, if you focus on them, will give you the strength that you need to truly build a successful practice for yourself. Now, if you are feeling me and you are loving this so far, please take a moment to give me a like. The like helps the YouTube algorithm know that this is some good stuff and you want to see more, number 1. And number 2, it's going to ultimately help us get to our goal of 50,000 subscribers in the next few months, which we've got a big hurdle to overcome to get there, but I am still very confident that we can. And with your help with a like, a subscribe, or a share, you can help us do it. So please make sure you do. And let's get back into number 4. Now, number 4 in this whole building a successful consulting business thing is mapping out your processes and your systems. I told you it was going to be the basics of the 4S Freedom Framework. I have talked about it, and it's the truth. You guys know how passionate I am around systems and processes. You also, because you've had the experiences of knowing when you don't have a system or a process or a funnel or an SOP in place surrounding the big ones in your business, you are pretty much going to be completely choked and in a chokehold from being able to be successful. Processes and systems are key to your success, and it is the only way. Mapping them out, actually having them thought through, putting them in place is the only way that you are going to be successful. The story that I hear from my clients, from my VIPs, from my students, and even from myself, I think I've shared stories with you before, is that we have actually talked at length. I've got students who have said to me, and this may be you, so tell me if it sounds familiar in the comments below by saying, yes, CP, sounds like me, that you have actually talked to a prospect before, a lead, and they have said, yes, I'd like to work with you. You've done something right, and they have actually said to you, you can help me, and I think I want to work with you, and you don't jump all over it. You don't tackle them. You don't go for it because you have some anxiety around what to do with them next. That typically means that you don't have a sales process to plop them into, that you are winging how to actually sell this person. And so to avoid losing the potential sale, you don't do anything with it, or even worse, you do something for them for free. That's right. I say it for free. And you do it for free all because you were afraid to sell them, all because you didn't have a well thought through and well mapped out sales process. Tell me if I'm lying.
Always lying to me. You lying so much.
Where's the lie? Ain't no lie. I know if there's no lie because I've done it myself. I've shared the story as a speaker for years. I didn't even charge for speaking engagements. I did them for free. And speaking is a six-figure revenue generator in my business right now. And for years, I missed out on six figures annually because I didn't have a speaking sales process in place. I would automatically just say, yes, I can speak for you, and do it for free without sending people through my process and without really helping myself sell them and understand that I charge for those types of services, because anytime that I or you as a consultant or as a coach or as a service provider is delivering your intellectual knowledge, your intellectual property, or your expertise, you are in essence giving away your product or service for free. Anytime you talk, anytime you give advice, anytime you teach someone something, you're giving away your product or service for free. And let me ask you, if Rihanna was continually giving away free makeup or free, lingerie or free balls and panties all the time, how much money do you think Rihanna would really be making? Do you think that she would have hit that $1 billion mark like she did, giving away everything for free? No, there's one thing to give away a sample, and there's another thing to give away something completely for free. And when you don't have the right processes in place, that is exactly what you tend to do. So what am I talking about when I say mapping out your processes? I mean actually sitting down and creating the step-by-step SOPs that not only enables you to see what your sales process or different processes in your business need to look like, it allows you to take a moment to think it through, create all of the assets that you're going to need in order to get those steps done, and ultimately begin to be able to put something in place that allows you to hire a team and move on to step number 5 in this whole beautiful building of a successful business thing. And when I say SOPs, that's exactly what I mean. The standard operating procedures. What are going to be the step-by-step ways that you typically get things done inside of your business? And you've got to spend the time mapping them out. Now, when I talk about the sales processes or just the big processes in your business, a lot of times I get the question, well, what are the big ones, CP? Which processes should I be focused on, especially as I am trying to build, my practice, my business? And there really are 3 big ones, right? I've already talked, well, there's really 4. I've already talked about the marketing one. That was kind of in step number 3. That marketing process is included in that marketing strategy. So I'm not going to address that one here. But the other big 3 that you really do have to spend some time on are your sales process. So what is going to be the step-by-step to get them from being a prospect all the way through to being a client for you? Your onboarding process, what's that transition period between them becoming a customer for you and then ultimately becoming a client where you're delivering service? And then ultimately your service process, how you're going to deliver the products and services that you promised that you were going to deliver. Those are the 3 that you really got to spend some time to map out. And those are the 3 that I see get neglected the most. And that is why those are the most popular VIP days that I do. And what am I talking about? Well, obviously, those of you who know, I offer VIP coaching programs. And that VIP coaching program includes 3 phases. And phase 2 is where you and I will spend together for the day, 6 to 8 hours together alone, focusing on your business. And typically, those days are full of mapping out those SOPs, creating those custom sales, onboarding, or service processes for my VIPs. They are hugely popular, and at the end of that day, we've got a completely mapped out SOP with all of the assets and all of the stuff that you need in order to have those big 3 processes done in your business. So if you want to work with me in that capacity in your business, please make sure that you check out the link down in the description in the comments below. But you can also go to CherylCPerez.com/VIP application and apply for the program. It is by application only. It does get booked up pretty quickly for me. I do open and close the doors and have a wait list from time to time. So if it's something that you're interested in, as a matter of fact, at the time of this video, the application period is open. So make sure you click below and apply, and you and I will get on a discovery call to see if you are a good fit for the program and to actually see if I can help you figure out some of these processes in your business. And step number 5 in this whole thing, number 5 is to build out your squad and your dream team, my love. Absolutely. So how do you do that? Well, your SOPs that we just talked about in the last step, in the last critical way of building a successful consulting firm, those SOPs will actually tell you who you need to hire and what you need to hire them for. There is absolutely a method to my madness, my love, and I promise you, they really do if you map out your SOPs properly and correctly the first time. Then you need to ultimately build out what that recruiting process is going to look like for you and your business, and how you will find them, where you will find them, how you will screen them, how you will make them an offer, how you will sell yourself, how you will bring them on board and get them started, how you will onboard them. You got to spend some time, mapping those out. And oftentimes I get the feedback from people or the question, CP, you tell me I have to spend time doing all of these things, and how am I supposed to find the time to do all of these things when I am out there trying to sell and make money and to grow my business? And my answer is always really, really, really simple in that respect. Taking a few days to map these things out and do these things will literally allow you to grow in a quarter of the time that it would if you did not have these things in place. So the time is totally worth it. When I have done all of these things, as I learned and build my businesses over the years, I have learned to actually make myself take the time to build out and think through these things. When I do that, I see multiple 6-figure revenue within a couple of years of being in business. And when I work with VIPs or with students or with coachees or even as a consultant for companies and I go in to fix what's wrong, typically they are not seeing growth. They may be barely touching 6 figures. They definitely can't get to 7 figures, and they are moving at a snail's pace when it comes to revenue, all because they didn't take the time to do these things in the very beginning in order to build successful practices. So trust me, my love, take the time to sit and think. Block off a day. One day is all you need for any and all of these things that I'm talking to you about. But you've got to dedicate yourself to that day and focusing on that particular thing. That's what my VIP days are actually about. They force you to set aside one whole day to get this done so that you can see yourself growing that much faster in your business and in your entrepreneurial journey. And building your squad and your team is going to be critical to getting to that next step. And you cannot build them if you don't have the SOPs and the processes, and you don't have how you're going to recruit them on board. You have to embrace delegation. You have to embrace collaboration. You have to recognize that you cannot do all of it yourself. If you think that you can, then you are wasting time. And as you know, time is money, which means that you are ultimately going to be wasting some serious dough if you don't take my advice. So you got to recognize that you can't do it alone. And if you try to do it alone, you're really eliminating the whole reason why, or at least one of the biggest reasons why you started your business, which is to experience that freedom and that flexibility that you deserve and that you desire. And if you're doing it all, then you can't experience that freedom and flexibility. So you gotta surround yourself with a team of talented individuals who believe in your vision, who can bring it all to life, who know more things about certain things than you do, and ultimately are smarter than you in certain areas. And ultimately, by doing that and listening to them, you are going to be taking care of step 5, which, when you put all of these 5 things together that I've been talking to you about, will help you build a business that is mind-blowingly successful without burning out, because that is the ultimate piece. So start discovering your passion, right? Align it with your purpose, build your confidence, make sure you've got that strong structure, map out your strategies and your SOPs, which will ultimately get you to building the perfect team. And when you've got those 5 things in place, my love, you will see how easy it is to build a successful business, not burn yourself out, love what you are doing, have time, have freedom, have money, have all the good things, because my love, when that all happens for you, that is when entrepreneurship fits the bill, fills the bill, and will guarantee you that you will never, ever, 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 ever again in your life go work for somebody else. Ever. Until next time, my loves, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to see you next week. Until then, bye-bye.